her stomach, crying out in pain. The paramedics arrived quickly, placing her on a stretcher. One of them turned to me and asked, "Is she your daughter? Can you come with us?" Beth, despite her evident agony, looked at me with a pained expression and corrected them. "She's just my son's wife, not my daughter." "Ma'am, she's your relative, isn't she? Will you come with us?" The paramedic asked again, directing the question to me. I met Beth's gaze with a cold glare. "I will not accompany her to the hospital," I replied firmly. "My name is Carla, and I'm a 27-year-old housewife. My husband Leon and I have been married for 3 years. We met at a mixer hosted by a mutual friend. Leon, with his cheerful and outgoing personality, was someone I admired from the start. Unlike me, he could talk to anyone with ease. I never imagined he'd be interested in someone like me, quiet and reserved. But to my surprise, he started approaching me. "Carla, are you interested in camping?" he asked one day. "I've only been once, back when I was a student," I replied. "I see. I love camping. Why don't we plan a trip with some friends?" he suggested. The idea excited me, and we went camping with a small group. It was on that trip that we began to grow closer, eventually leading to dates and dinners together. 2 years into our relationship, Leon proposed, and I happily accepted. When it came time to meet his parents, I was nervous but hopeful. His father, Walter, was kind and welcoming, much like Leon. His mother, Beth, was quieter, smiling politely but not saying much. I mistook her reserved demeanor for shyness, thinking she might be similar to me. That illusion shattered during a family gathering at their home. As soon as Beth saw me, she ordered, "Hurry up and come to the kitchen and help me." Once there, she snapped, "You're such a slowpoke. Can't you just get on with it?" Her tone was harsh, and she continued to criticize me throughout the evening. I tried to keep up, but Beth was relentless, making me clean every corner of the house, even places no one would see during the party. By the end of the night, I was exhausted, but Beth wasn't finished. "There's an empty glass. Go pour the beer," she commanded. Then she turned to the other relatives and remarked, "Please excuse Carla. She's really an uncaring wife, spoiled from her upbringing. It's hard teaching her everything." She laughed cruelly, casually insulting both me and my parents. I glanced at Leon, who was drinking and chatting loudly, seemingly oblivious to my distress. His indifference hurt more than Beth's words. This was my first real encounter with Beth, and it was nothing like the quiet, gentle impression she had given when we first met. It became clear that she had been assessing me all along, perhaps deciding what kind of daughter-in-law I would be. Later that night, Walter approached me. "Carla, I'm sorry for the hard time Beth gave you. She has a strong personality, and she's very attached to Leon since we had him late in life. I hope she didn't cause you too much trouble." "It's not a problem," I replied, trying to ease his concern, though deep down, I was starting to realize the challenges ahead. Despite everything, I wasn't completely dissatisfied. I knew some mother-in-laws could be difficult, and I had heard stories of uncooperative husbands, but Leon was kind at home, sharing household chores and being generally supportive. Over the next year, we visited his parents only on holidays, but everything changed when Walter had a serious accident and needed care. Beth asked us to move in with them, but I never imagined it would turn out to be the biggest mistake of my life. When we moved into my in-laws' house, Beth initially greeted us kindly. "Thank you for coming and taking care of us," she said, her voice warm and welcoming. Just as I started to believe her attitude had changed, she quickly added, "Now, I want you to start doing some housework right away." "Excuse me?" I replied, taken aback. "You're the wife who married into this family, so it's only natural for you to do the housework. I need you to vacuum and wipe the floors immediately. What are you waiting for? Hurry up." Beth's tone turned sharp, and I found myself being treated like a servant from the moment we moved in. It didn't take long to realize that Beth's behavior at the family party wasn't a one-time thing. This was who she truly was. She began pushing all the household chores onto me, despite my full-time job. I couldn't manage the housework during the day, so Beth would pile it all on me after I returned home from work. Every evening, I come home exhausted, only to wash the dishes from Beth's lunch, cook dinner, clean the bathroom, and prepare a bath for her. I also had to clean the rest of the house, including the toilet. In the mornings, I was up early to make breakfast and prepare lunch for Leon. As Beth insisted, don't feed him unhealthy pre-made meals. If I didn't comply, she would get furious. Day after day, I forced my tired body to keep up with these demands, but as time went on, my work and the quality of my housework started to suffer. "You're so slow. Can't you do anything right? You're absolutely useless." Beth's verbal abuse became more frequent, and I grew more and more exhausted, both physically and mentally. The most painful part was my husband's indifference. He never defended me or acknowledged the toll this was taking on me. In fact, since we moved in, he had stopped helping around the house entirely. If Liam had continued to help like he used to, it might have made things more bearable. But even when Beth wasn't around, he showed no interest in supporting me. Eventually, I had no choice but to quit my job. The pressure of balancing work and housework became too much, and I knew my body couldn't take it any longer. Beth had always criticized women working in offices, so she was pleased when I resigned. I hated the idea of being alone with her all day, but I had no other option. However, quitting didn't ease my burden. In addition to the housework, Beth started making me take care of Walter. "You handle the rest," she'd say before heading out for shopping or lunch with friends, leaving me to care for him alone. Walter, seeing how overwhelmed I was, apologized. "Carla, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize she was so unreasonable. I never thought Beth would make you do all this," he said, clearly shocked. He seemed heartbroken that his own wife had abandoned him like this. I felt sorry for Walter, so I did my best to care for him, even though it added to my already overwhelming workload. We spent a lot of time talking, and he shared stories about Beth and Liam's childhoods. Those moments were the only times I felt at ease. The rest of the day was a constant struggle. Meanwhile, Beth's demands and Leon's indifference only grew. When I tried to talk to Leon about Beth, he brushed me off with, "I'm tired from work," and never really listened. He had stopped being kind to me, becoming more like his mother, ordering me around and criticizing everything I did. I started considering divorce, but with no job and my family living in a rural area far away, I felt trapped. I couldn't bring myself to make such a drastic decision. A year passed in this miserable routine. Walter's health continued to decline, and he became weaker and weaker. In contrast, Beth and Liam only became more demanding. I was at my breaking point when Walter, in a moment of clarity, said to me, "Carla, thank you for everything. You've worked hard enough. It's time for you to live your own life." I was stunned. "What do you mean?" I asked. "Leave Liam. Leave this house." "Huh? You're still young. Don't waste your life here, but I don't have the strength to live on my own." "Leave that to me. Take the key to this house and leave." "I bought an apartment for you, Carla," Walter said, handing me a small key. "What?" I was shocked. "Thank you for taking care of me until now. I want to show my gratitude," he continued, his voice filled with sincerity. "Oh no, I can't accept this," I protested. "If you stay here, Carla, you'll only suffer more. Please, let me thank you properly." "I don't want to have any regrets," Walter insisted. After a moment of hesitation, I decided to accept Walter's generous offer. Quietly, I began preparing for the move, packing my belongings little by little to avoid drawing attention from Beth and my husband. It took a long time, but eventually I was almost ready to leave. That's when it happened. One Saturday morning, Beth suddenly doubled over in pain, clutching her stomach. She had been out the night before, indulging in raw oysters with her friends, and it seemed they were the cause of her agony. As she writhed on the floor, my husband began packing his large suitcase. I assumed he was going to take her to the hospital, but instead he said, "Well, I'm off to go camping. Take care of Mom and Dad." I was stunned. His own mother was suffering, and yet he prioritized camping. I was too exhausted to even argue, so I let him go without a word. Meanwhile, Beth was on the floor, screaming, "Call an ambulance." I had no choice but to do as she asked. When the paramedics arrived and placed Beth on a stretcher, one of them asked, "Is she your daughter? Will you come with us?" Beth, still in pain, looked at me and corrected them. "She's just my daughter-in-law, not my daughter." The paramedic, puzzled, turned to me again. "You are her relative, though. Can you come with us?" I looked at Beth coldly and replied, "I will not accompany her to the hospital. She's bullied me, forced me to care for Walter alone, and made my life miserable. I'm leaving this house and getting a divorce. I'm a stranger to her now." Beth was speechless, her eyes wide with disbelief. But I didn't care. I went to my room, packed the rest of my things, and prepared to leave. The paramedics awkwardly carried Beth out as I finished my packing. Before leaving, I visited Walter's room one last time. "Walter, thank you so much for everything," I said. "That's my line. Thank you, Carla. Be happy," Walter replied, waving me off with a gentle smile. I waved back, then left the house, finally free. I had already arranged for a care helper to look after Walter when Beth wasn't around, so I knew he would be in good hands. I moved into the apartment Walter had given me, a beautiful, spacious place that must have cost at least $300,000. By the time the move was complete, the apartment was officially in my name. Now all that remained was to find a job and start my new life. A few hours later, my phone rang. It was my husband, his voice panicked. "Hey, why didn't you go with Mom to the hospital?" "She's furious." "There's no obligation for me to accompany her," I replied calmly. "I'm going to be a stranger to her soon, remember." "Huh? I'm divorcing you. The papers are on the table." "What? Why? We're really done for if you do this. If you don't understand why, then it's hopeless. You've ignored Beth's constant abuse toward me, and now you've started treating me just like she does. I can't stay with someone like that." "But even if you get divorced, you have nowhere to go," he protested. "Actually, I have a house. Walter gave me a condo." "What?" His shock was palpable. "From now on, you'll have to communicate with me through my lawyer." With that, I hung up the phone. Apparently, my husband and Beth caused quite a scene after that, but Walter simply ignored them. In the end, he filed for divorce from Beth and kicked both her and my husband out of the house. He sold the family home and moved into a care facility. Beth and my husband lost everything. Meanwhile, I filed for alimony due to the abuse and harassment I'd endured, leaving them in debt and living in poverty. On the other hand, I found a new job and now live comfortably in the condo Walter gave me. From here on, I'll focus on living a peaceful life and finding what truly makes me happy. Why some people feel the need to torment their own daughter-in-law, I'll never understand. But I'm glad I took care of Walter, and I'm incredibly grateful for the gift he gave me. I hope to find a wonderful man someday and build a happy life.